Good afternoon and welcome to the second IMBRSea Covid19 or Corona, if you rather like to use this word, for example, info session where we want to inform you about a number of measures that we're taking within the program just to make sure that everything continues to happen as much as possible according to the scheme actually and according to the things we have planned in the IMBRSea program. I just want to check, like previous week, for example, you will be able to post questions through the chat. So people, maybe somebody can try at least to post one so we can check that this is working properly. Just yeah. Okay, then I want to start with a number of slides again, short presentation in which we want to inform you about a number of things, and then after that we will again take questions again like previous week, and we will try to give an answer as far as possible to those questions. So we have some information, some general information, we have some information then for the Thesis students, second year students, and then finally we also have some information regarding the professional practice already. I see that the live chat is working properly, so that's great. Okay, let me first start with just some brief presentation. So I will switch to an alternative screen. You see that these current conditions kind of forces and allow us also to test out a bit the possibilities of live streaming and to make it as much as possible professional, or at least professional looking, but that's of course a side information. Okay, anyway, so first of all, the agenda for today. So first of all, something on the whereabouts, then I want to say something on the annual symposium, something on the summer schools, thesis work, professional practice, and then finally again, as I said, questions. First of all, the whereabouts. We see that everybody is really following up the whereabouts, so the Google form that we set up and that we have spread, and that is also on our website, that everybody is following this up in a proper way, and that's really important, and we're very grateful to this because, for example, last week we received a question from Italy that they wanted a detailed update on who exactly is in Italy still, for example, to post a remark on that. Same from Ghent University. So, and then we use those whereabouts to inform the different universities on exactly, okay, who should you contact, for example, if specific things are happening. So please keep on if you're moving. I think most of you are now settling, but if you would be moving around to other places, for example, please make sure you complete these whereabouts so we have a constant update on where everybody is. So that's the first thing. Second thing is we get lots of questions already on the annual symposium. So far, we still keep on organizing the annual symposium, so we still keep on time. Yeah, actually, we want to take a final decision whether the annual symposium will go on like it was planned or not. So we don't want to take a kind of a decision right now, but we will just follow up the evolution of the status in the different countries, and also we want in that sense be updated with the University of the Algarve, where it's planned to take place, just to make sure that if they decide at a certain moment, even before the 20th of April, for example, that it cannot take place, then of course we will inform you. But the idea is at latest the 20th of April we should have an idea whether it is possible or not to organize it. So maybe good not to send questions to the mailbox of IMBRSea on this matter, because actually until the 20th of April we also don't want to kind of make a decision, and if we take a decision we will inform you via regular email as soon as possible. Second thing, summer school this summer. Again, on that one, we want to take the final decision a bit later, because it's planned only July, August, so there is still some time until then. Now, in case it cannot take place, the idea that we will have there is that the summer school of the first year students is just replaced by a summer school next summer. So it would mean that the summer school is not taking place then between year 1 and year 2, but at the end of year 2. That would be the alternative. But again, currently and for the moment, the summer school is still going on as it is planned. But in case by the 20th of May, for example, there is news that we cannot organize it this summer, then that would be the idea that we move it to the second year, which would then be as kind of a closing activity for your master program, which I think is also perfectly doable, and you can apply a number of things that you have learned through Thesis and, for example, and also during the second year courses. Okay, then let me move on to some matters regarding the thesis work. So the thesis work, year 2 students, a lot of you are working on the thesis. So let me first start by saying that an extension of the academic year is not possible. So it means that we are bound to the fact that you have to graduate the second year student at the latest by the end of this academic year, which is planned beginning of September, by the 1st of September. So that's also why final submission of the manuscript is still and will remain at the 3rd of August 2020. So moving that date to a later date is simply not possible, because else you cannot graduate, and also means that else you have to re-enroll to the program and to another academic year. And that will bring us, first of all, into a situation that is simply not manageable anymore from a financial point of view, from an administrative point. So there the decision is, and I think that will be a final decision, is that everybody will graduate, whether it's in a virtual way or in a live personal way, by the end of this academic year. Of course, if you do not submit your thesis by the 3rd of August, then it will mean you will be able to do it in another alternative semester, but that also will imply that you have to re-enroll again for a third year, with all these elements included. So keep that in mind. So what we will install for that is that we're currently moving the Matix platform to a server that has more potential in terms of speed and in terms of possibilities. And we will install a reporting tool for the thesis students, so where they can, on a regular basis, report on potential changes, problems you might have, for example, practical problems with experiments, etc., etc. And the idea would be that when you submit your thesis, and your thesis manuscript, that the readers will also receive an annex, that is an overview of all the potential changes and problems you have faced during this crisis. So in that sense, as soon as the reporting tool is available, that will be early next week, you will be able to report on what is happening during your thesis, what changes you are taking, for example, in close collaboration with your promoters. And then it will give you kind of a week by week update, and also that should allow readers, as I mentioned, to get a clear view on why, for example, an experiment was not fully carried out, for example, or why, for example, data is much more limited, or there is more and in a more extensive literature review included. So those kinds of things, so that at least a reader can evaluate your manuscript in the best potential way. We got a lot of questions about the thesis grading, because apparently people are scared that due to the crisis that your grading of your thesis will be lower than or may be impacted. So I think we have to be clear on this. So the current Covid-19 situation, it should not impact the final grade. So in practice, it means also that the score distributions that we will have for the thesis should be comparable to the score distribution of other cohorts. Because also during the summer school, for example, we have seen that your cohort is not a weaker or not an extremely stronger cohort than other cohorts. So it means also that this should be reflected also, for example, in the thesis grading. And I think there, I think you can trust the examination committee that decides on the final score, for example, that of course the current situation will be kept in mind. And we will also guarantee that, for example, that certain reading reports that come in that may be very negative, we will check on the basis of the comments you have left in the Matix platform, for example, why, for example, certain things are have been changing compared to the original plan. So that's I think if you want to make changes, because we also get a lot of questions on that, if you want to make changes in your topic, your current topic or plans, because for example at Ghent University all research is stopped, and so we had to be very clear. That was just a decision from yesterday, for example. We have to be very clear that we have a plan ready for everybody, so they can actually report what to do on the regarding the research. So there, discuss with your promoters, and if you want to make changes, we trust that the promoters are capable enough from an academic point of view to come up with an alternative plan, that is still from a scientific point of view of high quality, with an alternative plan that is related to the topic you have, for example, and on the basis of which you can actually show that you have the capacity to act as a professional marine scientist. But important again, report is very clearly then on the platform. So we're not going to review all these reports that you're sending, but I think it's important that you that what you report on there, for example, this as I mentioned, this will be added to the portfolio and to will be added to the reports that the readers get. So, and that's also a way then that they can see that, okay, on the basis of what, for example, did you make a change to your thesis. Also, what we will do, and we want to wait until after today, we will also send an email to all the promoters of the theses, kind of telling them, okay, that from next week onwards you will be able to report on certain elements, for example, but also telling them that, and kind of telling them that the deadline will not be changed, but also that they have the role there to guide you and to help you in finding alternatives in case, for example, experiments cannot go on or fieldwork cannot go on, so that this is all possible. This is some messages regarding the thesis work. Then also important, I think, for the first year students that are now following professional practice, which is starting these days in theory, or in some weeks' time. So as promised and as we mentioned last week, we have initiated a working group. And I really want to thank already the people that have contributed to that working group. And we had a meeting on last Monday, and where we discussed, okay, what could be possible. The outcome of this meeting was that actually, if we look at ourselves as marine professionals, I think we can say that we're marine professionals, we keep on working, even in the current conditions. So it means that as a marine professional, you have to be able, also in a remote setting, to be able to work on your on a scientific or on tasks that are relevant for being a marine scientist. So what we actually propose is that we are designing an alternative so-called remote professional practice. So in case the regular professional practices cannot be taken, you will be able to do a so-called remote professional practice. In practice, I won't give too many details yet, but I at least want to inform you of more. Kan er niet uploaden. Okay, yeah, I think we're back. My apologies for the small delay. Apologies for the problems. Okay, I think we can continue. Professional practice. So the idea, as I mentioned, potential examples could be project writing, because right now, for example, we are still writing research projects that we want to submit in an international context. We're thinking on online courses. We're thinking of data analytics, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, and the idea would be that it's still a professional practice, of 6 weeks of work. With remote meetings and fully remote organization, and that per team of 5 students that we have, that there would be one mentor that would actually guide you or coach you in making sure that this task can be fully carried out. Evaluation will be very similar to a normal professional practice. So you would still have personal tasks, personal skills to report on, personal objectives. But you will work, of course, together. And of course, as a team, you will also have some kind of overall kind of goals that you want to will achieve with your remote professional practice. Yeah. So, what is the current state? We are now writing out full guidelines on how this remote professional practice will look like. So in this week we will also collect the topics. So the idea is that the different full university partners will at least propose one topic that you can work on as teams, and then next week we will inform you as soon as we have a date and we have the topics. We will present you those remote professional practice topics, and we will also present you how, let's say, from a technical point of view, the whole follow-up of this will work. So important is that everyone will have the choice to select between the normal professional practice that you have enrolled for now in an alternative format, maybe, but that's then depending on your mentors, or the remote professional practice. So that's important. So you will have the choice to continue working on your regular one, or to switch to the alternative. And then also another important note is that we're checking whether we're able to slightly alter the course description of professional practice, just to make sure also that in your diploma supplement, when you graduate, that it's clearly written there that you had the choice between the regular professional practice and the alternative remote professional practice, because we just want to make sure that once you have graduated, that your diploma supplement is reflecting what is actually there. So next week, as I mentioned, you will get the full details on this remote professional practice and what is possible in there. Okay, I think that were the two main elements: thesis and professional practice. And I think it's the aim now that we can switch to the questions that we potentially have. I'm just making sure. Okay, we did first question. from Vivian Jager for professional practice that were planned with a duration of 8 weeks. It would be possible to start 2 weeks later if the situation allows. Answer on this one is yes. It's perfectly possible to start later. That's what we also mentioned. Keeping in mind, of course, if the start date would be shifted again later and later and later, for example, that also we have to make sure that it's kind of that's the difficulty on the whole decision, for example, is that we have to find a way in between and that people can do a proper selection of so it's possible if the situation indeed allows. Second question is from Carmela. Would it be possible to do them in another moment in time, for example, between the symposium and the summer school of this year or next year? Professional practice, it's a first year course. That's important, I think. And the problem, if we shift that to a later phase, you will end up with a total curriculum of up to 72 credits, yeah, and we get in trouble. So from an organizational point of view, actually, we decided that we rather want to stick to that everybody finishes his professional practice, yeah, in this academic year, yeah, so not in a later phase, for example. And so currently that's a bit the plan. You can shift your normal professional practice to potentially slightly later date, yeah, or you would go then for the remote alternative. Yeah. Tamara, are these measures in case some students have to go home as soon as possible and won't be able to come back to Portugal because travel ban issues? Regarding the annual symposium, that's what I said, is that we will take a decision later on actual the annual symposium. Of course, for example, if some people would not be able to physically be there to present their thesis, that the thesis presentation will go on just via virtual methods. So everybody will have to present this thesis, and because thesis presentation is 25% of the total grade, so this will remain the same as it is right now. And of course, if you're not able to come back to Portugal, we will try to find an alternative solution. Question from Christina. In Greece, for example, they told us that until now there is not a problem, so I guess we should wait until they tell us something. And if there is any problem at that moment, yeah. That's also why, Christina, it's also why we're bound to the news and the kind of the measures that have been taken on a daily basis, for example. That's also why we said, okay, next week we come up with some alternatives for professional practice, so you are informed on a decision and a choice you can make. And also for thesis related things, for example, it's also, I think there it's more in collaboration with your promoter. So if in Greece they tell for the moment there's no problem, I think in theory you can still continue with the activities that you have planned there. Yeah. Marta Dominguez, if we submit the thesis in June and after the situation improves, the research centers will reopen and we'll obtain new results about our experiments. Could we resubmit the thesis in August? Answer is no, because in that case it would mean that we completely break the examination rules as they are there. So to be honest, I also don't expect, if things are opening, that in about 1 month time you will be able to do full new experiments, to collect new data, to be able to analyze all the data. So I think there it's your decision, and together with your promoter, to follow up and to see, okay, what is the most feasible moment to submit your thesis. We're just March still. I just want to also make this clear. So it could be, for example, by the time you have to submit your thesis in June, for example, that things are already open and that you're at that moment doing some more experiments, and then you can take the decision, look, yeah, I want to go for the August deadline. Yeah. Christina, we have the possibility to choose another topic. I just want to make sure, can you maybe specify whether you're talking about thesis or professional practice? Because it's, so Christina, maybe it's good to repost your question. About the professional practice, question from Marion. Is it possible to do it if the professional practice supervisor thinks it will be possible if we postpone it? I was starting in April, so if I postpone, I can still do it before the end of June. If you can do it before the end of June, there's no problem. You just can start your professional practice, but again, be sure that you be in a way sure, and that's a decision you have to take, because if we start the remote professional practices, the moment we start these, we will not start them until, for example, somewhere end of May, because at the latest they also will start about 6 weeks before the normal date of the annual symposium. I think that's also something to keep in mind. So if your supervisor say there's no problem, and if you're able to travel, because that's also not unimportant, then this is perfectly fine with us. Question from Claudia. I'm going to Portugal, and my professional practice advisor told me that we are going to start on June. My question is, if everything with symposium still doing as planned, are the resets too? Right now on the resets, we don't have any clear message, because as it looks now, for example, there's no decision that the annual symposium is cancelled. If the annual symposium continues like normal, the resets also are planned like normal. No changes in this. In case the annual symposium will not be organized, then I think it's obvious that we also come with an alternative plan for the resets. And that's something, as I mentioned, that will be decided later by the 20th of April. So then we will be able to give you an answer on this element. Will scholarship students lose their scholarship if you leave the EU? A question from Olga. We have formally asked the question to the EU, but so far we did not receive an answer yet from the EU. The scholarship for this month, we all set them to that they will be paid. Also, we have kept in mind that you're taking courses, you're doing coursework, you're doing potentially remote professional practice, so it's not that you're home and you're just doing nothing there. So from that point of view, we really want to pressure the European Commission that they should continue the whole system. But we're awaiting actually an answer from the European Commission. As soon as we have it, we will inform you as well on this one. Remco, if the professional practice is delayed, will we have to sign and upload an updated professional contract with the new dates? Remco, on this as well. So next week we will give an update on the professional practice, and at that time we will actually give you guidelines on these elements. These are small details. If it's delayed, then normally the only thing we will have to do is that the start date, that you will have to report on in your portfolio anyway, that start date will change. That's all. But it's not because it's slightly delayed, for example, that you have to sign new contracts. That's not true at all. Ben Mooney, is there a deadline set for deciding between the current professional practice and the remote professional practice? Also, for that one, I refer to next week. At that time, we will give you clear guidelines when you have to make your decision. When do we have to choose? Again, next week that we will inform you about that. So right now, we just wanted to inform you that we're working on an alternative. So you should not worry too much. So no kind of crazy worries right now on when to choose and all this kind of stuff. Would it be possible to arrange professional practice with the institutions in other moments in time, but not in the framework of this program? A question from Pablo. I'm not really sure whether I fully understand this question, but as I mentioned already, you should finish it in this academic year. That's clear. There's no potential to make delays on that. And so, again, next week we will see, how the situation is evolving, for example, and we will again provide you with more information related to professional practice. Is there any chance that the program will be cancelled? or will definitely remain running, since the insurance depends on the program continuing and no, some borders are closed. Rachel Charis, I think the program continues, and that's also the message we give to applicants. There's no way that we're thinking that the at this moment, that the program will be cancelled. So totally not, right now. In case something, you never know what happens in the future, of course. We will, of course, inform you, and we will give you an update as soon as these decisions are taken. But cancelling a program would be, as far as my feeling is, this is totally not on our agenda right now. Saad Said, in an ideal situation, if things get back to normal by May and institutions reopen, students who were supposed to do their professional practice in the country of the second semester, can they continue with it? I would say yes, you can continue. But again, next week, we will give you an update, let's say, on the timeline in this, for example, and also by next week, I hope we will get already some more news, for example, on when certain things can take place. Madalena, a question. I understand that you would prefer if we do the professional practice in due time, but I think that we would not learn as much as we had imagined when we decided to do this master by doing a remote professional practice. I think, Madalena, I have to be clear on this. This is a situation we have never been faced with, and from both sides. So both from an organizational point of view, as from you as a student point of view. We're just developing alternatives. And we're also making sure that if we develop alternatives, for example, that they're manageable by all parties. So we also understand that a remote professional practice will not be the same, totally not be the same as what you had originally in mind. But also I think it's important to state again that if we postpone it too much, and the postponing takes over in that sense that we cannot guarantee that you're properly supervised and evaluated by the whole thing, or that it would alter too much what is in the original course description. There, my feeling is, and our feeling this is not my personal feeling, but the program as a program board, is that we have to make sure that you get in the end a diploma that is reflecting what is also in the course description. So going further, than in time, for example, and extending it to next year is simply from a legal point of view is not possible, and it would also bias too much your potential, for example, for doing your studies in the second year of the program. So also again, next week we will develop something more on this in terms of timelines. For example, what is the max range that we can shift in terms of timeline? So that's the case. You have also student board representatives. I think that's also important. And that's their role. If we discuss this in a program board, for example, to also reflect on this. We are fully aware, and to be honest, as a program, we are aware that the situation is in this sense is different. But right now, I don't want to come up with alternative plans and alternative ideas if they are not in agreement with, from a legal point of view, what we actually can do. For students who had their professional practice in Italy, they were asked to apply for the new professional practice, should we expect an answer from their second application? The point is that right now supervisors in most of the cases are not willing to answer at all. That's the current problem we're facing, because they don't have a clue what will happen. Also, for example, the EU is closing its borders completely. Traveling within the EU is currently not going on. So for the moment, that application is still there, but we have to await actually what potential things will be coming up. Are the professional practice supervisors updated about the changes? Can I propose remote professional practice to my previous supervisor and start on the date that we planned in the contract? A question from Bianca. Remote professional practice, to be clear on this, is not the same as a regular professional practice. So it's not a personal topic. What a supervisor can do, a supervisor can still say, okay, with my student, I develop a personal remote professional practice, yeah, and that's then perfectly feasible to do it as such, yeah, but that's on a personal basis, while or to do a regular professional practice in a remote way. Although we have to make clear that the remote professional practice, as we're designing it as an alternative, as a program, is something completely different, because there the aim is to do teamwork, and there we come up with specifically topics, yeah, that fit that whole plan. So just to be clear on that, so it's not the aim right now that you start telling to your supervisor, look, you can come up with an alternative remote professional practice, and then we will continue as a team on that. So no, we will make the distinction between a regular personal professional practice, yeah, where you're not guided as a team, and then with the alternative ones, yeah. It's nice that you all agree with Madalena, but as I mentioned there, yeah, it's as I mentioned, we have to stay and organize a program within the current legal frameworks. If people have alternatives and suggestions, I think also on the professional practice, I think one of the goals could be is that you communicate them as a group of students, yeah, to us, but also keeping in mind that we have our limitations, that we have to organize the program. Then a question from Pelario, yeah, isn't it better to skip the actual date of the symposium because we learn way less during it, and from a student's point of view it's way less needed than professional practice, and give a longer period for postponing. Right now we don't want to postpone and also postpone the things into the late summer, because in late summer we have summer schools to be organized, we have lots of alternative and other things, and right now we're not going to take a decision on this. Latest time we take a decision on this, whether we will postpone it or not, is 20th of April, as I mentioned before. Yeah. So before that, we're not going to take any decision on this, and I don't think it's also the right place here to kind of start discussing on this. Yeah. Question again from Vivian. If the professional practice can take place at the postponed time, one that overlaps with the annual symposium, so we could not physically attend it, is it possible? Again, next week, yeah, during an alternative info session on where we present the both things, there we will give you guidelines on what is possible or not. Regarding professional practice, if, for example, this annual symposium, yeah, I think a lot of questions that come in, yeah, a lot of questions that come in are kind of, okay, if this happens and this and this and this, yeah, these are scenarios, yeah, and I think right now during this webinar, I think we have ideas and we're trying to develop measures, and I hope you see this also, that we'll be doing our best to cope with all the different things. But right now, just working with, okay, if this would be kind of extended, can we do then this, and if this, yeah, I think we should take decisions, yeah, based on actual situations and not talking in too much scenarios. Regarding the professional practice, I just wanted to present what we have worked on with the working group so far. Yeah. If you have, I see there is some comments on it, and of course we will discuss these ones. Yeah, also in terms to come up with potential plans that are doable and that are feasible from the point of view, and then give you an update on this next week. Yeah. According to what you say, the legal framework doesn't allow. These last day governments and EU are making changes due to the situation. Couldn't this happen for education programs? I'm not the Minister of Education of Belgium or France or whatever. Right now, there's no laws that have been changed in the framework of education. Yeah, I just want to be very clear on that. And as it looks now, our universities are, the only things they allow is that we make some changes, and we are obliged to come up with alternative online formats of courses, but that's it. Yeah, they're not going to change the law, and that's the thing we're bound to. Yeah. Morgan, should we contact our professional practice supervisors now to see if an online alternative to our original topics is possible. That's potentially something you can do, is to see with your professional practice supervisors, but you have to keep in mind and also inform them clearly, that the alternative, the online alternative, has to be also a reflection of a normal professional practice in terms of workload as well. We're talking about a course of 12 ECTS, so just replacing it by a 2 weeks alternative data input kind of alternative, is totally not the aim. So if they come up with an alternative that is in the same kind of topic as what you were originally planned to do, and that is kind of can be evaluated, because the whole portfolio will remain exactly the same with weekly updates and with weekly shows of what you have actually done, for example, then this could be perfectly possible. Eva, just in case, is our health insurance completely valid in all the countries of the program? Yes, it is. That's a very easy answer. Not even the countries of the program, your health insurance is valid wherever you stay. That's also why you had to complete, that's one of the reasons because you have to complete these whereabouts. So in case there would be disputes on this, we can tell the insurance company, look, people are properly insured. I don't know, would it be possible to stop and delay our master program until next year to do the normal professional practice? Everybody has the full freedom to stop the master program. There's no we don't have a legal framework to say that you have to stop the program. So that's potentially that's a possible solution, if you can call it a solution. You could stop your program and then restart. It would, however, mean that the whole year is kind of going over. And also, if you would do this, we will have to check from a legal point of view with our university administration what implications this would have, and also how we would have to organize this from a formal point of view, because you would get together with the next cohort of students as well, and as such, for example, things like summer schools, etc., would be strongly impacted. Can we change the professional topic if we already have an alternative one with a new supervisor and cannot make it to the original one, but possibly to do an alternative one? Complicated question, Lucia. Again, next week we will present what in detail what the remote professional practice will look like. With dates until when can they take place, for example. And also we will give you updates. This is the possibilities that are there in terms of changing your current personal professional practice, for example, and in that way to come up with an alternative. So we will give you the different scenarios, with yes, no, I can do this, for example, next week. This week we have been working quite hard on actually already coming up with alternatives, and we just hope that you also kind of understand that we're just trying to do what we can within the framework that we can play. In the case the symposium is still happening, but we have no result and no discussion to present yet, is it possible to record ourselves and send the presentation with a thesis manuscript in August? Question from Clémence. I won't answer yet this question, because we did not take a decision as a board, and only if we have taken a decision as a board on this, we can potentially give you an answer on this. Also, in this framework, Clémence, very important, as soon as the reporting tool in Matix is available, please start reporting as soon as possible. So potentially, if this would be the case, this will be the kind of proof that indeed you do not have data due to things you cannot control, or, for example, due to the fact that your thesis supervisor did not come up at all with an alternative plan. That's also something So I think it's important that thesis supervisors in this context do their best to provide you alternatives and come up with an alternative. Given the chaotic situation, could it be possible to postpone the deadline for the thesis proposal to dedicate ourselves to the changes ongoing? Honestly, we have not spoken in the consortium, in the board, about postponing deadlines. For the moment, the answer is thus no. For the moment, we just stick to the thesis proposal deadlines. People are reachable by email, people are reachable, and normally everybody should already be quite active in designing its thesis topics. If you still have to start with this, then I would say, okay, this is the utmost time that you could start. And I think most researchers, I don't see why they would not come up and suggest you thesis topics for the next academic year. So the feeling here is that the idea would be, we just want to guarantee also that you can next year do your studies as much as possible in a proper way and according to the regulations of the program. So here again, try to design a thesis project and submit it. Of course, if things would happen then in between, for example, that the thesis project cannot go on like it was planned, we will give you, and we are still humans, we will give you the possibility to make alterations to the project. Catalina, can I present what I have done so far in my original thesis and plan B, despite or not completely related, and I don't have results or both during the symposium and the written part? Of course, That's the whole idea of the fact that you can potentially alter your thesis as well. What you will report on in your final thesis is the things you have been doing during this semester. And that can include, and that's also why we give you the possibility to report on potential changes, so that a reader sees, look, and in the month early April, for example, they altered a certain thing due to a certain will my grade be affected by that? Again, Catalina, as I already mentioned at the start of this webinar, one thing that we want to guarantee is that people are not affected in terms of grading by the situation that is going on. So I think report as clear as possible on the things that are going on in your thesis, and there's no, I would also say in your introduction or conclusions, for example, or if you want to add in a part in your thesis where you discuss, okay, this has happened and I'm reporting in this way on what I've done, that's perfectly okay. You can discuss this also in your discussion, even your scientific discussion. You could go in detail there. Okay, I faced this and this and this problem, and this led to this potential alternative, and etc. etc. Kika, question regarding the professional practice. If the situation allows, could we start doing a professional practice remotely and then go to a professional practice location for some days as soon as the situation allows it? Again, next week we will give you, I think it's good that you ask all these questions, but you also have to understand that I'm not able to give you answers to all of these things, simply because we don't have the answers, and we will discuss in the working group, but also with the consortium board, for example, on what we could potentially answer on all these questions. Hamida, is thesis submission done online, even if it's in August? Thesis submission is always online, so we just will have to submit everything online, and that's indeed the case. So even if it's in August. I see that for the moment no more questions are coming in. I think important is that you don't start panicking too much. a professional practice, I think, is also just, maybe strange to say this, is just a professional practice. It's a period where you learn new skills that might be useful for your future professional career. Yeah, and in your future professional careers, you will have to do also things. For example, if it's about project writing, if it's about developing certain things, also these kind of skills I think are relevant for your future professional careers, although of course they differ a lot from what you originally had in mind. And I think we also fully understand that, and we regret that the situation is like it is, but in this sense we're just doing our best, and we're trying to accommodate all of you in the best possible way, at least by offering you potential alternatives that are at some way or another at the same level. Yeah. Okay, I see that no more questions are coming in. So for the next days, what we will do this afternoon, we will internally have a meeting where we will discuss these questions that have been coming in here on the chat. And we will inform you on when there will be a follow-up meeting for the professional practice, first of all. So we can give you more information on that. And then finally also, we will also, maybe it's not bad to have next Thursday, same time, also just a general update. If it's a short one, then it's a short one. If it's a longer one, it doesn't matter. But at least that there is, again, a way that people can ask questions where we can at least try to give answers to. Marion, also for the submission of the subject of our future master thesis, we still have until the 15th of June. Yeah, that's correct, yeah. Lara Brody, okay, thank you. Any advice for the thesis presentation during the symposium in June, since most of us will not able to have results yet? Again, Anna Bilan, we will just follow up. Also, we will first await also the decision whether the annual symposium can go on or not. If it cannot go on, or we will of course come with advices on how a presentation could potentially look like. But I think right now it's not the time yet to take decisions in this. So I think it's that's important. Bianca, so again, just to make it clear, can I email and arrange a personal remote professional practice with my supervisor with the same topic? Answer there is yes, but assure that the professional practice that you arrange there with your supervisor, is of the same value and the same workload as the normal one. Indeed, I hope that everybody stays safe. Keep each other updated, talk to each other, but also try to keep on working in the current situations and do not panic. So far we don't have news of people in the program that are impacted directly from a health point of view by the virus, so I hope this can continue like this. So hereby good luck everyone. So more messages of course will come in. It may also be, and maybe that's not unimportant, that you will receive or that you receive emails from universities that are sometimes maybe contradictory or kind of causing more confusion, but there the idea is that international relation offices often just send out a broad email to all the international students of their university, and the situation for joint programs is of course slightly different, and that's why sometimes messages are sometimes somehow mixed up. Okay, thank you very much. I don't think you only have to thank me. I think it's important that you are aware on the fact that the whole team is doing its utmost best. So, for example, Louisa and Micheline are also online and are following up and showing and seeing and typing. So maybe next time we have to try to make sure that we're all online, so you see that it's a joint effort. Also, we're on a constant basis in contact with all the local coordinators as well. So yeah, okay. Thank you very much, and all the best, I would say, and have a nice lunch if you did not have one already. So keep on having good and healthy food is very important in these days. Bye bye, and see you next week.